Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the regular council meeting of Monday, August 11th. Call the meeting to order, and I've got a couple opening comments. Tom, do you want to start?
Yes, thank you. Just like to congratulate and thank the Badlands Amphitheater for their great big weekend. 3 incredible concerts this last weekend. And I'd really like to thank all of the 100 or so volunteers that helped. The events just absolutely would not happen without the hard work of many Drumheller volunteers. So thank you very much.
Patrick?
I just want to say good luck to all the athletes that are going to be participating later this month in Leduc at the Alberta 55 plus games. There's an opportunity to give them a bit of a send off with a picnic in the park this Wednesday at our newly developed Centennial Park. A bit of a pep rally, and good luck to them.
And I'd like to announce that a special meeting of council will be scheduled for Monday, August 18th at 4:30 p.m. The purpose of this meeting is in accordance with Section 194 of the Municipal Government Act for the purpose of hearing the following items: the proposed 2026 schedule for the Dino Drifter Community Event Float, the second quarterly report for corporate and community services, the third reading of a record retention and disposition bylaw, and the retirement of our CAO, Daryl, and the appointment of our new CAO, Esther. And this meeting, as with all other meetings, is open to the public and everyone is welcome to attend. Are there any additions to the agenda? Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda, please? Crystal?
I move that council adopt the agenda for the August 11th, 2025 regular council meeting as presented.
Seconder? Patrick? All in favor? Carried. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes of July 21st, please? Stephanie?
I move that council approves the minutes for the July 21st, 2025 regular council meeting as presented.
Seconder? Tom? Comments? All in favor? Carried. We will have a public hearing at 5:30, but we'll go on until that time. So we'll move on to 7.1.1, please, and we will deal with the Infrastructure Services 2025 QT Quarterly Report.
Thank you, Worship, member of the council. Jared Bronstein, Director of Infrastructure Services for the town of Drumheller, and we're going to go over our Q2 report. And we're going to try using PowerPoint. So I will be doing part of the presentation. So the first aspect will be the C-click fix function of our municipal reporting. And then I will be having the department heads come up and present their particular sections in regards to operational statistics. And Bill will be first, and then Greg, and then Reg, and then I'll be back up, and then off to Connor. So I'll start with the C-click fix reporting. So this is all of the information compiled into one great big spreadsheet. We are going to go into greater detail as we go through the slides. As you can see, our SLAs are being reduced year over year. So we are starting to respond more quickly to our C-click fixes. So there has been some changes to our C-click fix reporting. We did create a couple of new categories, mainly for Alberta transportation. We get a lot of concerns coming in from potholes, etc., along highway corridors. So we've set that out as a separate identity within the C-click fix reporting. So you can show that from year over year and quarter over quarter, we went from nothing to a whole bunch. That's because we created the new stat. So again, these are all seasonal C-click fixes. So you'll see all of a sudden a ramp up in the amount of reports we get. So from Q1 to Q2, for instance, for flood program trees, we went from nothing in Q1 to 1 in Q2. For instance, the same with vegetation control. Q1, you have still the snow on the ground. Q2, we're already getting up to 10. So as this progresses, we'll start to do year-over-year reporting, and we start to actually track some of our stats and try to show some trending moving forward. And this is probably the one that council wants to see. So this is our days to acknowledge. As you can see, we're completely very much reduction from 2024 to 2025. And then again with our days to close, a very large reduction from 2024 to 2025. Was there any questions of council in regards to C-Click fix?
Questions? Go ahead, Patrick.
Just with adding that new category for Alberta transportation, is that information that we can keep and use, as a lobbying point when we do want to talk about getting things fixed and built? And
so through the Charter Council call, yes. So all of those stats are still being maintained by the town. So we can use that information to then forward on to transportation in regards to pothole repairs.
Tom?
So in regards to Alberta Transportation, what is the process? So if you get a question or a complaint about a road that is operated by Alberta Transportation, do you automatically contact them? Do you meet with them once a week? What is the process that goes on there?
So currently it's an email to their local rep. So their roads manager gets an email from our operations department saying that we have concerns with X amount of hot potholes in these locations. I am starting to meet with the operations manager on a monthly basis to discuss these types of things, but that just started in the last 3 weeks.
Anybody else? So Jared, just on the days to close, because in the past we had where people would acknowledge or they'd be posted as closed, but yet they weren't completed. And so now you guys you don't close them until they're actually completed, which is great. So how do we explain to people, for example, something that I had it on the top of my head and I can't think of it, when there's something that you can't do right now because it's something you.
So a good example, your worship, is a capital program request. So for instance, we have a section of sidewalk within the community that somebody wants repaired.
Yeah.
Those are being closed out, but they are being put on the capital program off to the side, so they're not being forgotten about. But we just don't want to see these C-Click fixes sitting there in perpetuity for the next 5 years until that section of sidewalk comes up in the capital program. So
Okay.
we're starting to close those out. We are telling the respondents that yes, we're aware, yes, they're being included in the capital program, and we're moving on.
Okay, perfect. Because yeah, you can't punish the system for stuff that's down the way.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, this is great, and this is the information that I personally was hoping that we can continue flowing because I think it really gives people an understanding of, there are things that we can turn around real quick, and there's are things that take a few days. But on average, you can't complain about the average days to close. That's amazing. So thank you to you and your team. Okay.
So I'm going to pass it on to Bill, our utilities manager.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing us to share what we've been doing. Utilities. Water plant volumes over this last quarter have been up a little bit. Summer, lots of people using water. The totals for this year were 880,274 cubic meters, which averages to 9,600 or 9,673 cubic meters a day, which is a little bit up over last year. To be honest, I'm not sure why. I kind of looked back, and I think just more people using water. And then I looked at it's also for the second quarter, not for the third quarter, which we're in right now, where we've had all the rain. The wastewater totals are up as well. We are using a little bit more chemical in the wastewater just to help us be more compliant with suspended solids. The rain events have caused us to use, to unsettle the wastewater treatment plant with all the inflow that we get through the collection system. It dilutes, but it also creates more suspended solids in the wastewater. East Cooley plant is up as well a little bit. And I think that's just from the rain that we had in the last month of the quarter. And there's some interesting facts that Ashley actually found for us. This is enough water that we used in the quarter to fill the indoor and the outdoor pools 621 times. So it's a lot of water, or to flush 145 million toilets at once, I guess, which probably happens in the US. Sorry, I thought I turned that off. Work orders were up a little bit, I think, from last year as well. We've had a lot of calls for dirty water and odor in the previous quarter. They have tailed off, so we're not having as many right now. Line locates are down from what they were last year, I believe. Last year we had a lot of line locates to do with the berm construction and stuff, but a line locate takes between 30 and 45 minutes to complete. And so like in April with 69 line locates, that's about a week's worth of work for one person alone. So that it takes up some man hours to do line locates. And it's a week a month for us to do line locates for one person. So just to give you an idea of what we'd spend our time at when we're out there. The cemetery, just it's ongoing. You know, there's always people visiting the place, and some of them permanently, and there's it's just keeps the underground crew busy there once or twice a week. I guess when I look at a lot of the events are down from last year, like the water shutoffs, the meter repairs, water quality issue was up a little bit. I think, we haven't received complaints in the last little while, or they've really dropped off in the last little while. And that may be due to our flushing program that we're ongoing right now with the town. And the sewer backups, we're doing more of it. I'm not really sure why. It's just, I remember being asked one year why sewer breaks we had and not water breaks, and I can't explain why some are doing it this year, other than maybe the ground being saturated and just moving with the moisture. And I think that's all. Well, maintenance. We've had 5 leaks that we repaired in that quarter. It seems a lifetime ago that the second quarter was here for me. We've replaced some curb stops. We replaced a bunch of valve bolts where we did the new pavement on 12th Street West. And box and rod repairs that we've been doing, and they're just usually ongoing. A resident or a business will find they need to turn off their water at the curb stop for some reason, and they just call us and say, we need a curb stop turned off. Curb stop might not have been exercised for 10 or 15 years, and it isn't working for whatever reason. Most of the time we just have to hydrovac it out and replace the box and rod. And I think that's all that I have.
Thanks, Bill. Questions?
Questions?
Tom?
Concerning the water leaks, so my understanding is that we have many different ages of pipes in the ground. I mean, some are 10 years old and some are 50 years old. And so when you have a water leak, do you kind of do an inspection of that pipe? And like, I'm just thinking of the one outside of Western that was broke, I think, a couple of times. Do you kind of put that in your list of priorities in terms of replacement?
Yeah,
And so you know this pipe is, 50 years old and needs replacement. Do we have that kind of catalog?
yes, we do. We know that pipe needs replacement. We've known it for quite a while. It also probably should be upsized one size. And that's why we replaced such a length of it in a couple of those periods, because we knew the pipe was bad.
Anybody else? Patrick?
Just with the flushing program, we've talked about before about water recovery from that and just not letting it go down the storm drains. Is there a feasible way to make that sort of thing happen, or?
Canmore is experimenting with one method of retaining the water right now to recycle it. I just saw it last week. I'm just researching into it, but they're the first place to use virtually zero water consumption for flushing. And I just want to learn how they do it more and if it's feasible for us to do it.
Crystal?
I don't know if this is you or maybe Parks, but we were talking about previously catching rainwater, wastewater to help water the plants. And that was in the process. Is that part of that too, that you're researching?
It is. It's tough to do when we're flushing a hydrant because you need that continuous flow. You can't turn it off midstream to fill up another truck or another barrel or something, because then you're defeating the purpose.
Right. And then for any time we're just using any water that we're using for anything else, are we trying to catch it at all? Or that's all part of that process you're looking into?
It's all part of the
Okay.
process that we're looking into. We look at there are some individual areas that we have flushed into a park and use the diffuser to diffuse into the park just to get it on the grass and stuff rather than going down the storm drain.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, Reg.
Good afternoon. I'm with Facilities and I'll present our report. Facility maintenance and inspections, we've done 24 inspections this quarter, 183 hours cleaning public washrooms. Arena ice removal, 35 hours. That was to take the ice out. 9 water quality samples submitted for the fountain to Alberta Health Services. Work orders, we've had Parks Washroom 6, Airport 1, Public Works 5, RCMP 3, Communications Tower 3, Fountain Vault 3, Town Hall 1, Fire Hall 1, and Arena 6. These are all low because they were introduced during the middle of the quarter. We've redefined it, and the next quarter will have the proper reflections. These are accurate BCF Aquaplex. 33 this year for the BCF and 20 last year, so they're up. It's almost even for the Aquaplex. We had 20 this year and 19 last year. We continue to train staff. For the all-town staff, Wemyss, 19, working alone, 14. And these are all new employees coming on. Upgrading the safety courses for the staff working right now. We have 3 fall arrests, 2 confined space, 1 first aid, 2 H2S, 5 traffic controls. Facility maintenance inspections. We've had 24 completed inspections. Am I repeating myself? Water usage. Total of 3,405 cubic meters of water used at the fountain, spray park, rotary park, irrigation, aquaplex, and arena. The most one being the outdoor pool at 30.7%. Lowest being rotary park irrigation. To say that's the only one that we have metered, so that's why we know about it. Fun facts, 3,405 meters is enough to water to flood the ice sheet at the arena 67 times. Speaking of the arena, we put the ice in and the colors on, and we should have the Dragons on ice next Monday.
Nice.
Questions? Summer's over.
Good one. Comments? So curious, so this 183 hours of cleaning the public, this is more for the listening public. So that includes the ones at the park, beside the arena, like all the public washrooms, like
All
that's.
public washrooms, that's the showers and washrooms down at Newcastle Beach, APL Rotary Park, Riverside and Rosedale, and also the plaza washrooms downtown.
Yeah, so I think it's a good one for the listening public to realize that there's a lot of hours that go
That is correct.
into this. And then when you talk about water usage, so again, when we talk about trying to offset costs with paid parking or whatever, the amount of water that goes into Fountain Spray Park, these kind of things that are used by our visitors, and we have to change and test that water all the time.
Constantly with according to Alberta Health Services rules.
Okay, so just when we're trying to offset tourism costs, this is one area that we know a large portion of the visitors are the ones that use the Fountain Spray Park, because a lot of the locals avoid the area. So yeah, so it's good that these are really good numbers, so that the listening public sees there's a lot that goes into maintaining these projects.
Great.
All right, Tom.
Yeah, just looking at the arena,
Yes.
life cycle assessment for arena has been completed 2030 to 2035 for major replacements. So does this mean at 2035 we will not have an arena? We cannot use that old arena, or we need a replacement, or it would have to be significantly upgraded? And any idea of costs?
Okay, life cycle assessment was just on the plant room itself. They did a report back when they did the pool and the BCF, and they said we still had a couple of number of years left at the arena. When we did the assessment on the plant, the major ones were the chiller and also the compressor, and they were at $300,000 and $400,000 each. And one was in 2030, and the other one's in 2035. So those will have to be placed at the end of their cycle. The compressors that we installed, they're good for about another 20 years, which is great.
Well, it's like everything else. You got to keep the buildings up to keep them maintained, right?
That's right.
Any other comments? Thanks for that, Reg.
Thanks.
All right, I think Greg is up next.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. So talk about the operations. I'm Greg, Operations Manager. So as you can see, our mechanics have been busy. We've done quite a few work orders in this last little while. As you can see in the chart, our light fleet is most of our work orders, as our light fleet is starting to age out, and we're working at replacing that. On our roads and street side, we've been out, we've done 500 potholes in this second quarter, filling. The staff's been busy doing that. We were working with bylaw on installing the paid parking signs, and the staff have been out and helped put up 27 new signs for the paid parking around town. We've been out sweeping our roads. We've done 49 kilometers of road sweeping. Fun fact, did you know that the streeper makes 4 to 6 passes on each road? So it's not just a once up and once down. It takes a little bit of time to do this. We've also been working through our community assistant grant. We have 5 organizations that have reached out that we are assisting with them in doing some in-kind work for them in the amount that's there. In our parks, playgrounds, we we deal with a lot of area. Our parks crew maintains approximately 286.7 acres of park and green space in town. As you can see, our average watering takes 32 hours per week, so that's one staff pretty much all week or to do our watering. Our public garbages are one of our biggest time consumers. There's 115 garbage receptacles that we service. We try and do these every day or at least 3 times a week. And our irrigation is hasn't been on a whole bunch this year because we've been receiving so much rain, which has kind of been nice.
Can I just make one comment, Greg, just for the
Sure.
listening public? If you're not a farmer, it's hard to comprehend how much 286 acres is. If I did a quick Google, that's 230 football fields. So
Yes.
just so the public is aware how
Yes.
much space that is.
Yeah. And then in our mowing and weeding, so you can see that we're out a lot. So we usually spend about 8 hours in East Cooley. Same as Rosedale is about 8 hours. Our Newcastle area is probably one of our highest time goblins with 15.5 hours a week in cutting the grass and taking care of the diamonds. It's takes a lot of man hours to deal with this stuff. The airport, we go up there cutting monthly, which takes 18 hours because there's a lot of land up there that needs to be cut with the secondary runway that is a grass runway. So we help cut this whole thing. And then weeding, it takes 42 hours per week to do our weeding. And it just is one of those time things that you can only do it by hand. You can't really use a tool for this. Oh, I didn't switch. I'm on my last one here. So in operations, we have purchased a new hook truck. We got it deckled up. We don't have it out yet. We're just finishing up that. This truck is to hopefully help with our garbage pickup because right now we're just using a half-ton truck and it's a lot of handling garbage in and out. This new truck should help with only handling garbage once. That's everything. Any questions?
Tony?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Just going back to your fun fact on the street sweeper there, is it common that it's 4 to 6 passes on a road, or is it due to our aging sweeper, or is that just normal?
I think it's normal because it just a lot of it has to do with crown in the road, so you have to like pull it out of the curb, and it just takes time to pick it up. Just it's not the most equipment does it. We're hoping in the future to be purchasing a new one, and maybe it'll help. But even our old one was the same way.
Tom?
Are you the person that deals with mosquitoes?
No, I don't.
Or is that Jared? Is that his bailiwick? I'm just wondering.
It's
I've
kind of
had
all of us.
I've
Back
had
here
questions
dealing with
about mosquitoes, and I've told people, yes, we have a mosquito control program. I'm just wondering where that's at and what's happened, or if anything is happening. Or
I'm gonna get Reg to answer that one because he's dealt with the mosquitoes more than I have.
Mosquito control. Right now, there are no choppers in Alberta to spray. We continue to look for them, and the person that usually does the ground control is off. And unfortunately, all the, how do you say, the proper chemicals that last long in the water, they've all been discontinued. And if we were to spray anything, they're only good for 2 or 3 days in the water, and it's quite expensive.
So are you saying that chemicals that we were using, the environmental
Unsafe stuff.
world decided to take those out?
They take it out. Yes, they have. They used to last anywhere from 45 days in the water, then down to 15 days, and now they're good for about 3 to 5 days if we're lucky.
And that's if you hit the right timing of the
That is
mosquito
correct.
eggs and everything.
And they don't get washed away. And that's the biological stuff. So that's the only thing available right now.
And so when you said something about the spray, trying to find somebody who sprayed, what was that?
Well, the chopper can spray this biological stuff, but right now there's nobody in Alberta that is spraying. The Alpine helicopters that we used to use, now they're making more money spraying forest fires and doing tours and movies.
Interesting. Okay, thanks, Rich.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Crystal.
Just going back to your hand picking of weeds, is there a product out there? Like, I'm just thinking of the boulevards where there's the rock. That seems to be where a lot of the weeds come quickly. Is there something you can put on that rock so it stops the weeds from coming up, like a glue or something? I've seen that product.
Well, we normally spray for weeds, but because of our wet year, our contractor that has usually sprays for us has been very delayed in being able to get out because there's regulations that they have to follow and there's timelines and everything, and it hasn't worked out. Normally, we would have probably had everything sprayed in the beginning of July, or earlier.
Well, and you've never dealt with, I don't know, been a lot of years before we've dealt with this much rain.
Yeah, it's been quite a few years, so.
So I like your fun facts, 500 potholes. So when people say we're not out there fixing potholes, it's kind of a understatement, hey?
Yeah, and we've been out quite a bit doing potholes, so.
And then on your garbage there, again, I just don't think people realize, I mean, I don't even realize how many garbage cans we have. All I ask is if we could watch that south entrance one. If, you know, if we've got people out there, just maybe double checking it, cause it gets so full.
Yeah, I have the staff checking on that one more regularly now.
Perfect.
It is an MCON garbage can though.
I know,
But we
so
are
I hope-
monitoring it to make sure it doesn't get overflow.
Yeah, if we could put a little pressure. And then on here, on your mowing, there's also the cemetery, right?
Yes.
And so I think that's another one that, you know, I've had some complaints that we don't do enough for the cemetery. But when you look at the hours of mowing, we only have limited equipment. And I just want to commend you that right now the cemetery looks wonderful. So
Well, thank you. Yeah, we have one staff that is dedicated to the cemetery. He's out there 8 hours a day mowing and weed whipping and cleaning up everything.
And then, okay, so this is a pet peeve of a friend of mine, so I'm sharing it. It's honestly not mine. I'm not the friend. Elm trees. So we are very good at killing them when in our season because we can only do it from November to March, right?
Yes.
So how can we do it? Because there's that one in the corner at the pool that we get rid of it and then it comes back every year. Then we get rid of it and it comes back. Is there a chemical that we're allowed to use to actually like terminate these elm trees? Because they're like the weed of all weeds.
I think after we cut it, if we're in our timelines are right and we drill some holes in it and put some chemical in it, it should kill the root to address this problem.
Because she has a real beef with them. So I'm going to tell her, okay, you make a list of the ones and give me the list before October 20th and I'll transfer the list. Because, yeah, there's just some that we seem to redo and redo.
Yeah, and elms are very hard to deal with because
Yeah.
they're like a weed and there's your timeline to deal with them is very short.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I commend you and your team personally. It's just the town's amazing. I cannot thank you enough. I know you guys have been up against a lot with the rain. Typically by this time of year, we're brown. Everything's out there is
Yep.
brown, and it's quite beautiful being all green, but it's added a ton of work to you guys. So please thank everyone for their efforts.
I will do that. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Greg. All right, Jared.
Didn't realize all my staff are that short. Drumheller Municipal Airport. Stats for second quarter. We continue to see improvements at the airport in regards to takeoff and landings, also general usage of the airport. So as you can see, we continue to increase our fuel sales, continue to increase our flights, our overnight visits, etc. The one thing I do want to put on municipal airport is we are continuing to put in the fuel system. With that fuel system, we will end up having to take our current system offline for a couple months until the new system is up and running. So just to let council know that we will have a lack of fuel sales for about 2 months up there. And I had to do one pager for the airport. Anybody have any questions?
Tony.
Yeah, just curious on the fuel sales there. Purchases of 66,000 and sales of 65,000. Are we making any money on the fuel? And is it enough to be self-sustaining? I don't see the inventory change in here, so I can't say whether that's profitable or not.
If I remember correctly, I think our fuel sale profit is not that high. You're probably on average about $20,000 a year in fuel sale profit. That will be something that will be coming to probably the next council in regards to a fuel sale policy and trying to make it so that we're actually recouping the cost of the $800,000 we just put into a new fuel system.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Yeah, so overall, I obviously was on that committee, and there's a lot of great work done, and I hearing great things about the way they're operating and stuff. So I think it's going in the right direction, and these guys will find ways to make it profitable. All right, thank you. Thanks, Jared. Okay, our energy program.
So this is a new one for council. So we recently hired a municipal energy manager to manage a grant-funded municipal energy program. So these are all baseline information for council just to understand what exactly this municipal energy manager will be looking at. So this is our general electricity use for the second quarter of 2025. And as you can see, we do consume a fair amount of electricity as a municipality. With, again, rec facilities taking the lead. So this contributes mostly the BCF and the Aquaplex, are two fairly large energy hogs because we're having to heat water and constantly keep the doors open at the BCF. And then second to that would be the wastewater system. So our wastewater treatment plant is also very heavy on electrical use. This is due to the amount of pumps and motors and grinders and everything else that's included in that system. So going over to natural gas, no surprise there either. Recreational facilities are our heaviest users, followed by actually our potable water system. So trying to keep that that building warm. And there's your facility use for March to May. So we used a total of 1.2 million kilowatts.
Comments, council? Tom?
I know a number of other municipalities have gone into some solar panel electrical generating. I attended a conference a couple of years ago. I believe it was Okotoks. And they managed to put enough solar panels on the roofs of their recreation facilities that they were now recouping, I think, 60% of the electrical costs. Have we looked into that? And I mean, it's always a long-term kind of investment thing, but would it be worthwhile looking at?
Through the chair, Councilor Zareski, yes, that is part of this municipal energy program and municipal energy managers, I guess, mandate, is to look at those potential cost savings in regards to alternative energy sources. So whether it be solar, wind. We're also going to be looking at some of the quick wins in regards to improving lighting, improving door seals, improving window seals, keeping blinds closed when the sun's out, etc. Trying to actually turn lights off when nobody's in the building. So we will start small and work our way up to the large capital programs that may look at solar.
We already have some solar, like down in Newcastle Diamonds, for example. There's solar panels there that are generating electricity for something.
Yeah, the solar panels are on a number of our irrigation systems around town. So McConkey Park, Newcastle Park, there's a few others that we had those for probably 8 or 9 years. So.
Okay.
Anybody else? And then this position, again, for listening public, was a grant. We received a grant to have a person come in and analyze all of this stuff. So it's a good thing for the future council to have all this information gathered. And then, as I agree with you, just crawl, walk, and run and start the small things that aren't going to cost a lot and then work your way up. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out.
Thank you, Rita.
All right, and the GIS system is yours.
Is mine as well, Your Worship. So I have 2 slides for council. Just to give you a basic overview of a GIS system, we currently have 25 internal users as 1 external user. We continue to develop more layers within our GIS platform to help understand our infrastructure, understand our land use, understand everything that is to do with GIS. This is a work in progress. We continue to evolve it, and hopefully in the next 5 years, that's where it needs to be. So some of the assets that have been created over the last quarter. So a memorial bench survey tool. So we've been out surveying in all our memorial benches through slave labor. Through Assistant CAOs, Keombabo's children. Land management. Web map, high water response web map, so that's working in conjunction with our flood office. Continuing to work with other departments for ease of use and ease of mail out information, and continuing to look at our water system. This is a pilot project that I've asked for, is to start dividing our water system up into age of infrastructure.
Comments? Go ahead.
And so this all correlates with Palliser mapping, with MDP. This is all part of this whole process that we're going through right now, right? All of the GIS.
I'm going to say kind of.
Kind of, okay.
So what we're trying to do internally is have a more robust system than Palliser. As that is the objective by the end of all this, is that our mapping systems are the preferred mapping systems for Drumheller related assets.
Anybody else? Great information, and you got a great guy there with Shane doing that stuff, so you're in good hands.
And I'm going to turn it over to Connor, and he's going to bedazzle you with capital projects.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. Just as an introduction, my name is Connor Schwader. I'm the Junior Project Manager for the town of Drumheller. Today I'm providing an update on the capital projects approved in the 2025 capital budget. The 2025 General Capital Program includes 50 capital projects and 17 utility capital projects. My primary focus today will be on the 17 active projects currently under the Junior Project Manager, while continuous oversight with the remaining projects led by other departments. For a bit of background on the current capital budget, with carry forward and recently amended 2025 capital budget, we currently have approximately 15.3 million in active capital projects. This is a breakdown in water supply and distribution of 1.9 million. Wastewater has 2.54 million, and general capital has 10.8 million. To date, we've spent 3.1 million in Q1 and 3.25 million in Q2, indicating solid progress as we move forward through the core construction season. In Q2, a large portion of work involves finalizing contractual agreements. We've adopted the Canadian Construction Documents Committee, the common abbreviation of CCDC. These are peak industry standards for construction agreements with the national best practice and now forms the foundation for our project contracts. So far this year, we've delivered 4 requested decisions to council for the CAO or council, either to seek approval, provide updates, or request direction. We've also developed and completed 6 procurement packages, each going through a full month-long cycle, including publication, so posting on bids and tenders and APC, going through a question and clarification period, addendums, submission review, evaluation, and award notification. The process varies depending on the complexity and size of the value of the project, and we're committed to ensuring transparency and timely communication with the proponents. We're also bringing forward the updated purchasing policy to council for review and approval in the Q3. As part of professional development as well, I recently completed a 4-month procurement extension certificate through the Mount Royal University program, ensuring that all procurement practices remain compliant with applicable trade agreements and public procurement standards. I just want to provide a detailed project table just to council and to the public on the current status of key initiatives that are currently in progress. And I wanted to highlight just on a few of the items. So Bridge 11 is now fully complete. We had our substantial completion inspection done on August 5th with ISL, SureSeal, Mark Steffler, and myself. There were a few deficiencies that were identified during that inspection, so they will be fixing those as soon as possible, and we will be getting that inspection form after that. For the Aquaplex hot tub, on last Friday, we had identified another challenge with the hot tub. During this inspection, they had filled the gutters full with water, and during a time frame of 20 minutes, the gutters had leaked. This has been something with a problem with the liner. Based on this, we have reached out to Martha Pools, who did the work, just to reach out for warranty, just to see if they would be able to come and do an inspection and check it. So we are in the process of doing that right now. So for the 6th Ave extension, we've encountered a few challenges with this one, but with collaborative efforts with the contractor, consultants, and the town, we've been able to keep back on track. The new sanitary, storm, and water connection will facilitate future development in that area. For the Rails to Trails program, work is underway in partnership with Wilco to install and combine 9 stops and stations between Midland and Rosedale. The shade structures and benches will be installed in the coming weeks. Custom designed garbage bins wrapped with artwork from local artists are also in progress. The cold storage building currently in early design and site review stages with Vertical Building Solutions. Construction is set to be completed by November 1st, 2025, using a 2-phased approach, which is the foundation, then the building envelope. From the utility side for projects, the 2 key ones are the water treatment plant UV reactors. This contract was awarded to Filtrum, and we had a site visit completed on July 30th. And the equipment was scheduled for Trojan UV reactors early September, with the installation targeted by year end. The wastewater treatment plant blower addition mobilization is underway. The fabrication contractor is currently measuring and preparing custom spools for the equipment. While this work isn't visible to the public, it's critical for compliance with environmental regulations and help avoid potential fines and penalties from the province. And I just wanted to finish the presentation off with just a collage of different photos that were taken in Q2, just to show the public as well as council what kind of work has been going on. So on the top left, it's the installation of the new water lines on 6th Ave. The top center one is the completed Bridge 11. The top right is the Canada Day Parade float, which was shown on July 1st. The bottom left is one of the new trail stops. The bottom center is the new addition of the 4 new Mavericks to the fleet program. And the bottom right is the concrete slab removal at the Aquaplex and the trenching for the new piping. And finally, the newly paved Newcastle Trail in 12th Street. Thank you, Your Worship Council. If you have any questions, we're happy to address them.
Questions? You were very thorough. But I'm not letting you get off that easy. So tell us about this. So you took your procurement extension certificate,
Mhm.
and that's going to, for the listening public, that's a really important thing for running a municipality. Can you explain to them why?
So basically, the procurement extension certificate just supported a lot of methodologies and approaches on how to tackle procurement. Procurement is something that many municipalities have to do in order to buy and purchase new goods and services and construction projects for a town. So this program really helped me just understand how that process worked, what kind of compliance you have to meet with purchasing, pricing. So if there are certain ways to meet trade agreements, like the new West Partnership Trade Agreement, things like any goods or services over 75,000 have to go out for public procurement. Anything below that doesn't have to go. So it's things like those that are just important to understand, and also learning various ways on how to approach supplier scorecards and finding ways to evaluate different suppliers so that in the future we can take that information and move forward in a positive direction, knowing what they've done in the past and how they've done it, in order to assess how they can move forward and things like that.
So for the listening public, we as council do not influence whether somebody gets the job or not gets the job. Like, that's your job to go through the process, and we are legally bound to make sure that if it's over the 75,000, that it goes through the process. It's not like we can make any of those decisions, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so for those out there that think we make those decisions, usually when it comes to us, by the time it comes to us, you guys have thrown it all through these channels
Mm.
to figure out, to make sure everybody complies with what's required.
Yes, and the evaluation team is usually a team of 3, so there isn't just a public bias or a bias on that. Is done very thoroughly and ensuring that there is a consensus on that.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that,
Yeah.
because we have been insulted, I
Mm.
guess is a nice way of putting it,
Mm.
of doing things that it's against everything that the MGA stands for, so.
And then just one last comment, just for the Aquaplex hot tub. Due to the leak that was discovered, this will delay it to the minimum of the end of September, just so the council and the public is aware.
And again, I mean, it's a frustrating, I mean, do you think we love this, hearing this? No.
Mhm.
Again, it goes back to options.
Mm.
We can have a hot tub or we not have a hot tub. We can have a pool or not have a pool. I don't think a community of our size would be happy if we didn't have the hot tub and the pool, which we are obviously hearing.
Mhm.
So I call anybody out there who's got a way of figuring out how do we find 25 million or whatever it's going to cost for a brand new pool, because I'm sure every one of this at this table, past councils and future councils, would love to just have a new pool and not have to repair this. But at this time, I can assure anybody that's listening that we have tried to lobby federally, provincially. There's just no funding out there. We're a community of 8,000 people with 4,000 taxpayers. It would take a lifetime to pay for that, for the pool, without all the other water, sewer, everything else we got to deal with. So if somebody's got a miracle idea, there's 6 of us at this table that are more than willing to hear it out. So go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, regarding capital projects, I get questions fairly often. Why does it cost so much to do this and to do that? And one of the things I tell them is that because we are Drumheller, we are not Airdrie, we are not Chestermere, whatever, that things do cost more to build in Drumheller than they do in um, municipalities that are closer to the big centers. I know when the Seniors Foundation was building the new 500 wing, we were told as much as 15 to 20% more to build it here than it would be to build it in, say, Airdrie. Is that fair comment?
Yeah, that is fair. A lot of our projects, take into account the mobilization and demobilization. So significant amount of that funds that go towards a project will be accounted by the mobilization, taking the equipment out from Airdrie or Calgary, where that's maybe our main source, coming to Drumheller for the day or two, and then leaving. So that is quite of a big impact, as well as inflation and things like that, that economically can impact our funding and the overall cost of the project.
Go ahead.
And just to add to that, we've noticed with our business, we've seen a drastic increase due to the tariffs as well, to the point where there's some stuff we just cannot produce anymore because it's not economical at all. So I think people are forgetting that the municipality still is like operating like a business, and those costs do affect the municipality just like any other business. So just keep that in mind, general public.
All right, Connor. Well, thank you for clarifying that, because I wanted to have you state that fact.
Thank you.
All right, council, can I get a motion to accept the quarterly reports for infrastructure services, please? Tom,
Yeah, I move the council accepts the 2025 quarterly report of the Infrastructure Services Department as information.
seconder, please. Patrick, all in favor? Carried. All right, we have a public hearing in 4 minutes, so rather than start the next thing, we'll just take a short break and we'll be back at 5:30 for the public hearing. We now will proceed with the public hearing, and I will ask for a motion to open the public hearing, please, council. Somebody give me a motion. Tony?
I move that the public hearing for proposed municipal development plan amending bylaw number 16.25 be opened at 5:30.
Thank you. This hearing is being held in accordance with Part 7 of the Municipal Government Act and the Council and Committee Procedure Bylaw to give all affected persons the opportunity to provide feedback on municipal.
Excuse me, Your Worship. We do need a seconder on that motion.
Oh, okay. Patrick, all in favor? Carried. All right, so I will carry on, or I'll start again. This hearing is being held in accordance with Part 7 of the Municipal Government Act and the Council and Committee Procedure Bylaw to give all affected persons the opportunity to provide feedback on municipal development plan amending bylaw 26.25. No decisions will be made at this meeting. Council will consider all submissions and will deliberate on this feedback at a future meeting of council. I will now ask our Chief Administrative Officer Daryl Drumheller to introduce the Municipal Development Plan amending bylaw 26.25.
And I am delegating that to Antonia Starsky.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors, and Daryl. So I'm Antonia Strelski. I'm the town's development officer. The town administration, in partnership with Palliser Regional Municipal Services, is in the process of preparing a bylaw to amend the town's municipal development plan as established in bylaw 17.20. The purpose of the proposed MDP amending bylaw 26.25 as presented in the July 7th, 2025 regular council meeting is to undertake a targeted review and update of the MDP, specifically focused on updates to flood mitigation, parks, and our trail network. In accordance with the requirements of Section 692E of the MGA, the town is required to hold a public hearing in respect to the proposed bylaw, amending a statutory plan, which includes amending bylaws for the municipality's municipal development plan. This public hearing was advertised in the Drumheller Mail on the June 23rd and 30th edition, as well as the July 6th edition, as well as the proposed bylaw and the consolidated version of the proposed bylaw in relation to the document being posted on the town's website within both our public hearing sections and the municipal development planning and development sections of our website. The public hearing is being held in accordance with the MGA Council Committee Meeting Procedure Bylaw 4.21, and any person who claims to be affected by the proposed bylaw has been invited to present their comments in person to the public hearing or to submit written submissions. We have received one written submission from one of the surrounding counties in regards to the relationship with the proposed MDP amending bylaw to our intermunicipal development plan with that county. From my quick review of that email, no concerns were raised from that municipality. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, rules of conduct. I will now ask Angela, Legislative Service Coordinator, to provide the rules and procedures for the public hearing.
Thank you, Your Worship. The rules and procedure for the public hearing are as follows. Those in support of the matter will be permitted to speak first, followed by those in opposition. Following this, the Chief Administrative Officer will be permitted to respond to any comments, and council will be given the opportunity to ask clarifying questions. Each presenter will have 5 minutes to speak, and each group or organization will have 10 minutes to speak. Each presenter shall state their name, whether they are in support or in opposition, whether they are a resident of Drumheller, and how they are affected by the matter. Each presenter shall address their presentation to the mayor and shall only address council with the permission of the mayor. We request that you only present material associated with the subject of the public hearing. All presentations will form part of the meeting minutes and will become part of the public record. Council may not debate the matter and may only ask questions for clarification. They will have the opportunity to ask questions once all presentations are finished. We ask that you respect the views of everyone here and allow each person their time to speak.
Thank you, Angela. Now we have presenters and support. We'll now open the floor to the public. Are there any written submissions in support of the Municipal Development Plan amending bylaw 26.25?
Yes, Your Worship. As Antonia indicated, there was a written submission from Wheatland County that was published in the agenda package. And to summarize, the submission stated that the amendments in proposed bylaw 26.25, they stated that they appear to align with the policies in the intermunicipal development plan.
All right. So for the first time, has anyone registered to present in person or remotely in support of the bylaw?
Your Worship, no one has pre-registered to present in person or remotely.
For the second time, is there anyone present who would like to speak in support of the bylaw?
No one has stepped forward.
And for the third time, is there anyone present who would like to speak in support of the bylaw?
No one has stepped forward, Your Worship.
Okay, so now we'll go to presenters in opposition. Are there any written submissions in objection to Municipal Development Plan bylaw 26.25?
We have received no written submissions in objection.
For the first time, has anyone registered to present in person or remotely in objection to the bylaw?
No one has pre-registered to present in person or remotely in objection to this bylaw.
For the second time, is there anyone who would like to speak in objection to the bylaw?
No one has stepped forward.
And for the third time, is there anyone who would like to speak in objection to the bylaw?
No one has stepped forward.
All right, so CAO. So thank you for the presentations. Since there were no presentations, I would like to ask council if you have any comments towards this before I move on. Tom?
Yeah, I'm just very, very impressed with the document. And I'm just wondering, it will be used by Reg, I'm sure, for economic development. Like I see this as, wow, somebody is interested in the area. This spells out kind of everything they can and could do and should do and where the town is going and the valley. And so would that be a fair statement, Reg?
No, that's fine, Reg. It's an open hearing. It's a public hearing, so we're okay. All right, so I will, in closing, thank you for everyone for their input. And we only had the one submission in support, so I will now consider this public hearing closed. So can I get a motion, please, to close the public hearing? Crystal?
I move that the public hearing for proposed municipal development plan amending bylaw number 26.25 be closed at 5:38 p.m.
Seconder, please. Stephanie? All in favor? Carried. Thank you for everyone for sitting through that with us, and now we will carry back onto our agenda. Thank you, Antonia, for your presentation and all the work that you continually do to help make the municipality easier to operate. So we shall move on to 7.1.2. Jared, please, on the Downtown Streetscape Improvement Task Force appointments.
Thank you, Your Worship. Jared Bronstein, Director of Infrastructure Services. Today is a request for decision before Council in regards to the Downtown Streetscape Improvement Task Force appointments. There's a mouthful. As you're aware, we're looking to advance the DARP program. With that, we are looking to establish a DARP task force, which will consist of 8 representatives of businesses and 4 representatives of the community and 8 of the Downtown Business Association. Before you is a recommendation to appoint those members so the task force can start to move forward and look at providing their input in regards to street furniture, sidewalk widths and design details, tree density and placement, landscaping improvements, and sidewalk and street light options. This committee will be in effect until the end of this year, so they do have a deadline of December 31st, 2025, to come up with recommendations for council.
All right, council. Can I get a motion, then we'll discuss? Crystal?
I move that council appoints Tracy Gendron, Patty Richardson, John Schaff, Chris Lorenz, Candace Lorenz, Albert Ansis, Michelle Fournier, Lena Kenworthy, Andrew Burdall, and David Chenor to the Downtown Streetscape Improvement Task Force for a term beginning August 11th, 2025 and ending March 31st, 2026.
Seconder, please. Stephanie, comments, please. Tony?
Yes, happy to see these people step forward. Looks like you've got a well-rounded group there of all business and community representatives. So the outcomes of the task force, I'm hoping, will be impactful. So good luck on proceeding through the task force.
Crystal?
And just to, there will be some community input as well. Like there's gonna be some open houses that was discussed during that task force when we created that to have overall input. We usually do that big fall, all departments open house. Is that still part of the plan?
Yes, Councillor
Yeah.
Shaz, we will be doing I believe 2 open houses to engage the public as its entirety in regards to the downtown core revitalization.
Patrick?
Just in your presentation, you noted a term ending on December 31st. Do we wish to have more time, or what should be your
Sorry, through the chair, Councillor Cleven, that was my mistake. My apology. It was actually March 31st, 2026.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
Anybody else? Well, I'm personally super excited to see what they all come up with, and I hope that because of the work that we have done up until this point and the feedback that we've gotten from people like Roger Brooks, and with your expertise out of Soyuz and different things, I'm really excited to see that we pull this all together, and good luck to that committee. All right, all in favor? Carried. And thank you to all those who are willing to put their time and effort into making this, because it's a very, very important project for the community. All right, let's move on to 7.1.3, please, Jared.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we're going to talk about a memorial bench program. So back in 2024, when we brought the 2025 operating budget to council, there was discussions in regards to a memorial bench program and the cost recovery model with that memorial bench program. Administration has started their initial review in regards to the program. We've hit a few unanticipated challenges. One, there is a non-consistent inventory in regards to our memorial bench program. So we are in the process, as eventually in my second quarter report, trying to compile how many memorial benches we actually do have out there and who they're assigned to. One of the other things that's come up is whether or not we want to, again, include more than just benches in this program. Is this going to be a memorial tree program? Are we doing picnic tables? So those are some of the other things that are being discussed internally. How locations are going to be determined. So currently right now, if an applicant comes in, they have their choice of wherever they like within the community to place a bench. There are challenges with that. You start to see parks being overpopulated with benches and other parks with no benches. So that was one of the other things that we're looking to revamp and to finalize and provide greater direction on. Needed for a dedicated program budget. So currently when we order a bench, that is coming out of Parks operating budget. So then it defers or deletes funding available for other things related to our Parks program. Creation of a sustainable maintenance and replacement plan. So currently there is no maintenance plan. There is no replacement plan except for when new applicants come in, we get a new bench. And then establishment of a fixed memorial timeframe and renewal process. So right now, I believe it's 10 years, but there are caveats to that 10 years that we can act, or we need to reach out to those applicants and ask if they want to renew for another 5-10 years. So that's very administratively burdened on the municipality. One of the other things that comes to mind is cost recovery. So is this a full cost recovery program, or is this a subsidy program where the municipality is the one buying the benches and the applicant is buying only the memorial plaque? Or are we going to request that anybody who looks for a memorial program, whether it be a bench, a picnic table, or a tree, actually pay the full cost? So some of the things that comes to mind in regards to full cost recoveries, we could be looking between $4,000 and $6,000 a bench. That would be the total cost for install. So that would include public works time, operations time, the cost of the bench, the cost of the concrete footing, the plaque, placement, everything else, and then whether or not we go to a 1-year maintenance or $1,000 maintenance fee within that program as well, so that we're actually getting money towards if the plaque gets vandalized or the bench gets vandalized and we need to replace something on it. We actually have fees calculated and fees collected and fees sitting in a reserve for eventual replacement. Whereas we look at a subsidized model, cost of the bench, plaque, everything is still the same, between $4,000 and $6,000, because we're not having to pay for the plaque. As a municipality, we're paying for the bench, we're placing the bench, we're providing locations within the community that we see where there's a deficit of benches. The other thing was we wanted to bring to council's attention, and this is part of the asset management side of this program and continuing to make it sustainable, is we have anywhere from $540,000 to $810,000 worth of benches out there. So once we've confirmed our inventory, that number will be better defined, but that's a pretty, like, you're basically looking at $500,000 worth of benches. So how do we replace those over the 10-year span, 20-year span, 30-year span? If we take about a 10% damage figure in regards to our current program, we could be looking at $84,000 to $81,000 in 2026 to replace those benches. Or do we not bother replacing them? We just leave them to be, or we pull them and don't replace them. So there's a myriad of operational questions that come to this program as we move forward. So we started our review. We will be doing data collection, hopefully completion by the end of the month. And then we'll start to review and correlate that data and hopefully have that information compiled by the end of September. We'll then look to develop a draft policy at the end of November. Budget development for the program will be included in the 2026 operating budget discussions. Draft policy review, we're looking at December 2025, so unfortunately not with this council, but the new council coming in. A public engagement process between January and March of 2026, and then a final policy review of April of 2026. So what we're looking for from council today is that council directs administration to continue with the wholesome audit of the memorial bench program and therefore develop and present an updated memorial program policy for council consideration by December of this year. Are there any questions, Your
Thanks,
Worship,
Jared.
Council?
Can I get a motion, please, Council? Patrick?
I move that council directs administration to continue with a fulsome audit of the memorial bench program and furthermore to develop and present an updated memorial program policy for council's consideration by December 2025.
Seconder, please. Tony, comments, please. Crystal?
Okay, so being on the Rails to Trails and the donor wall, for $1,000, you can get your name on that donor wall. And that was kind of always the goal of the Rails to Trails, that would continue, because there will always be trail development, paving, whatever. I thought was always the memorial bench continues as it is, but cost recovery, because now there is actually another option for people in memory. Most of it's mostly in memory. Those memorial benches are in memory. So there's another option now, whereas the town never had an option for those memorials. So I would strongly encourage that could be an option. $1,000 gets you on the Rails to Trail, or the $6,000 gets you a bench. And so that's just my feedback, because I'm not sure if I'll be at this table, and I hope you can take that into consideration.
Tony?
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be wise at this point to move to a full cost recovery. We build a sufficient inventory of 180 benches now, so maintaining at that level would be adequate. They'd be tied to a lifespan for sure. We can't create a budget line item to maintain these things indefinitely. So I would see a donor maybe having an option to, renew the 10 years or it just be replaced by a new bench from another donor, so kind of going down that road. I like the idea of more options rather than just a bench, but rails to trails, maybe a table, maybe trees, but kind of designated where the town sees the need along the trail right now would be a high priority. If the donor wanted it somewhere else, I guess we could take it into consideration, but kind of going down that road more so.
Anybody else? Yeah, I'm excited about this because it just frustrates me. I think life is 20 years in in our system. So I just think that there has to be a max because we've got benches out there that are so old they no longer look good, and yet the donor thinks that we should have them forever, and nothing is forever. So I think there's got to be a max for sure. I think we have to have then there should be a certain number of years, and there has to be, I think, a placement, a list of where they can be placed. Because I mean, as much as I love Riverside Park, I drive past there I don't know how many times a day, and you never see anybody sit on a bench yet. We've got like 15 benches. It's just overkill. And nothing to say of the whippersnippering and mowing and everything else around them. So I think, you know, they're a wonderful idea, and I was glad they were brought in, but I think there has to be some control. So I hope that the new council, when you guys bring it forward, see it as is. And I like agreeing with Crystal and Tony that to have the options, because I don't think people really realize what it takes to keep those benches and then to work around them all the time. So it's got to be really a thought out process. So thank you for bringing it forward, and I too recommend that some of those ideas come with options. Anybody else? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, and great work on that, Jerry. Okay, let's have 7.1.4, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. This is Bridge 11 replacement program. So this is an additional funding request. So the town made a fraudulent payment late last year in regards to this project. Now that the project is nearing completion, we've now had the conversations with the contractor. We are now needing to basically fund that fraudulent payment to the contractor. So what happened is a payment was made, but it was made to a anonymous third party that we were unaware of. So that funding was actually missing from the contractor's perspective. So there is now a need to provide that funding back to the contractor. So we are asking council for an additional $231,475.50 to come out of our transportation reserves to fund that budget shortfall. We're continuing to work with the RCMP, but unfortunately both our insurance provider and our funding provider through the province of Alberta is not willing to assist with this error in payment. So this will have to come out of town funding.
Again, motion please, council. Tony?
I move that council approves the unbudgeted expense of $231,475.50 to fund the completion of Bridge 11 project to be funded from the transportation reserve.
Seconder, please. Patrick? Comments? Stephanie?
Do we have protocols and things put in place to prevent this from happening in the future?
Yes, we do. So right now, actually, this payment is actually is one of the they call it the social engineering fraud. So it is someone pretending to be the merchants with the changing banking informations. So now that we will be having to staff to verify all the banking information changes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, unfortunate. All in favor? Carried. All right, let's move on to 7.2.1, please. And we get Antonia.
Thank you, Your Worship. Today I will be presenting a proposal to adopt the Town of Drumheller General Design Standards and Construction Specifications. So pursuant to section 638.2 of the Municipal Government Act, every municipality must compile and keep updated a list of policies that may be considered in making any decision under Part 17 of the Municipal Government Act. So Part 17 is planning and development, so that's my realm. This includes any decision rendered by the Development Authority, whether that be the Development Officer or the Municipal Planning Commission, the Subdivision Authority, so that is an authority delegated to Palliser Regional Municipal Services, or any planning authorities as designated by council. So in our municipality, council is the designated authority for not much, but you could be in certain situations. Until now, administration has referenced the City of Calgary's design specifications as standard practice. However, has not been formally consolidated or adopted by council as a municipal policy document, and therefore has never been advertised on our town website. Administration recommends, therefore, that the formal adoption of the general design standards and construction specifications in order to provide developers and consultants with further clarity and direction when designing, engineering, and building any infrastructure within the valley. Unless otherwise noted within municipal regulations, administration is recommending that the town continues to follow the latest versions of the City of Calgary's standard specifications for water, sanitary, stormwater, and transportation systems, and their full suite of design guidelines maintained by the city, along with their industry bulletins released from time to time by the City of Calgary to amend these guidelines. We've produced a specifications and guideline document to compile these in an easy to navigate one-page sheet to easily point developers to our newly adopted specifications to aid those designs. And it's ready for publishing in the Town of Drumheller, on the Town of Drumheller website as per section 638 of the MGA. In addition, on the general design and construction standards sheet, our latest recommendation to adopt the latest version of the Alberta Environments and Parks Standards and Guidelines for Municipal Waterworks, Wastewater, and Storm Drainage Systems, as well as the Fire Underwriter Study water supply for public fire protection documentation as well. Thank you.
Can I get a motion, please, Council? Tom?
I move that council adopts the general design standards and construction specifications as presented.
Seconder? Stephanie? Comments? Tom?
I was just wondering, has there been any consideration given to the possible effect of tariffs on goods, materials, parts, different types of things that might be used? So if something is supposed to be constructed in a particular way with a particular type of material, and now that material is not available, or that part is now not available, or exorbitantly expensive, would that be any kind of consideration? Is that being kind of thought about?
Through the chair to Councilor Risky, no. And unfortunately, the water and wastewater industry is very specific on their materials. And unfortunately, most of it comes out of the United States of America. So tariff alteration in regards to specifications would be very difficult. I'm trying to source all those individual pieces from Canadian manufacturers. I wouldn't say Canadian suppliers, I say Canadian manufacturers. The other big avenue in which you'd have to cross over would be European as well. A lot of our industry relies on European goods. So depending on how that looks, it would be difficult to start navigating our specifications to skirt tariff requirements.
Anybody else?
I think, sorry, just to add to Jared's comment, I think it's to look at an alteration or a substitution for, say, a water line. that has a 50 to 75-year life expectancy just to save some money up front, although saving money is always good, is fairly short-sighted, right? You want to put the right product in there. You need consistency so if 10 years down the road, you know that the pipe you're replacing is the same pipe that you put in 10 years ago. And so that it's kind of echoes what Jared says. It's just it's not worth it to try to skirt around the potential for tariffs because you're just going to hurt the future municipality and its operations and maintenance.
Tony?
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, we're ordering parts from the States, so that's imports to us. So the impacts of those tariffs are minimal as opposed to us exporting stuff to them, correct?
So I'm not a tariff expert by any stretch of the imagination, but the way goods flow from this country to the United States and back again is probably it's crossed the border 3 times before we've seen it. So no matter which way you try to spin this, we're paying tariffs on something at some point. So unfortunately, yeah, due to the way the water and wastewater industry has been built over the years, is most of our stuff comes out of the States.
Anybody else? So this is a pretty complex document, 412 pages. And I'll be honest, I didn't understand it all. So I guess where I'm going is, so if we approve this standard, because it's just a general design, does it leave room for like negotiations? Okay. Because like even, I mean, something simple, but like like the tree one, it has a list of different trees, like now maybe somebody else wants to put a different tree. I mean, I'm just trying to, I mean, that's real basic, but
So within the specification document that is planned to be published on the website for developers to look at, it does state that unless there are other municipal regulations that we have adopted specifically for the town. So in regards to trees specifically, there are some documentation that we have produced as a municipality to guide developers towards species and looking at how we would like boulevard construction. But the City of Calgary document does go into much more detail. So gives us the opportunity to look at both documents.
okay, good, because yeah, because we did all that tree study with the flood program, so it's like, okay, I hope we're not. And I couldn't find it in there anywhere, but does it actually hit my road, sidewalk, and gutter thing yet?
It will do, yes.
It
So
will?
it
So if
will-
a new development comes into town, this document says they have to have roads, sidewalks, and
Yes.
gutters?
So the intention of this document is to point developers when they look at constructing any roads, including sidewalks, to ensure that they meet a specification, and it is the specification within this document.
Oh, I got it.
So if we get a new subdivision application or a developer that's looking at installing so a commercial development along the highway where AT is specified you need a service road, those design specs will be as per the document.
Okay,
This
awesome.
and City
So
of Calgary specs.
those who are listening are wondering why I'm so excited is because we have communities in this valley that were built that weren't required to have roads, sidewalks, and gutters, but now those communities want roads. And so if it would have been built at the time, it would have all worked out. So I'm glad it's there, and that was probably the one thing well, one of the few things I'm trying to hopefully close off. So thank you very much. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, and just there is a section about the flood mitigation that happened in Calgary too, which obviously would not be ours because we have our own
No,
flood.
so yeah, anything that we have that we've formally adopted would override this as ours.
Just a quick question: when a new service gets put into a building, and the back alley has to be dug up for that service, who's responsible for repairing of that surface after?
The developer should be.
Not the, okay, because I've asked this question a few times and I haven't been able to find out who's responsible for repairing that, so.
So at the install, it would be the developer, and then it gets handed back over to the.
Not the like Alta Gas or Adco Electric.
Jared, please.
Sorry, I was looking at this document, it's not in there.
So, councillors, it depends on what is going on. So, if it's a new service that's been initiated by a building, so water and sanitary sewer service, the costs of repairing the road would be borne on the applicant. If Apex Gas or ATCO or somebody has gone in and done servicing, it is the responsibility of that utility to now pave that or repair that road or backfill, etc. So if there's an area that has been serviced by electrical or by gas, it is their responsibility as a shallow utility to go back in and pave it. What's generally happened in Drumheller is they usually let us know during our pavement program to go in and pave it. They always let us know all of them, so there may be ones that get missed. So if you can let me know exactly where this is, and I'll try to pick it up in our last little bit of SIP program. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, all in favor? Thank you. You made my day. Okay, let's carry on. So excited, I got distracted. I know where I'm at here. Okay, 7.2.2, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is request for decision for the natural gas distribution franchise agreement, bylaw 20.25. And we're looking for a second reading and a third reading on it as well. So the pursuant to section 45 of the MGA, council may grant a right, exclusive or otherwise, for a person to provide a utility service in all or part of the municipality for not more than 20 years. Most municipalities grant exclusive right to offer this service through what is generally referred to as a franchise agreement. Drumheller has 3 such agreements. So the one we're talking about today is the franchise agreement for natural gas distribution with Apex Utilities. Apex covers approximately 95% of Drumheller. Big Country Gas Co-op is the co-op that covers East Cooley and also the west end of Midland, sort of by the golf course and that. But everything else is done by Apex. And ATCO Electric does all the power in Drumheller and area. So Drumheller has a franchise agreement for natural gas with Apex Utilities. One of the questions that has come up is, well, why do we choose Apex? Because Apex owns all the infrastructure, all the piping, all of the hardware that goes to supply gas to businesses and homes is owned by Apex, not unlike the wires and poles and everything are owned by ATCO Electric in the town. So the agreement was in effect from November 1st, 2015, and is set to expire on October 31st, 2025. It's a 10-year agreement. With its upcoming expiration, the town of Drumheller gave first reading to the proposed natural gas franchise agreement bylaw 2025 on May 20th, 2025. No coincidence there, which is intended to replace bylaw 1015. So there was a bunch of things that were done. Alberta Utilities Commission requires a notice to be done by Drumheller to see if there's any objections to it. So we posted on June 5th. With our intention to renew the Apex agreement. There were no objections filed or submitted for that for us to renew it, and the bylaw was forwarded to AUC for approval. The bylaw was approved and returned on July 23rd, 2025. So now that the requirements of Rule 029 or 029 have been met, the town of Drumheller may proceed with second and third readings of the bylaw. And once this bylaw is complete, a copy of the bylaw will be forwarded to Apex Utilities and 2 copies prepared for signature. So the recommendation from administration is that council gives second and third reading to the natural gas distribution franchise agreement bylaw 20.25 as presented.
Thanks, Daryl. Can I get a motion, please, council? Tony.
Spit it out. We move that council gives second reading to natural gas distribution franchise agreement bylaw number 20.25 as presented.
Seconder, Patrick, comments? Tom?
Yeah, a couple of things. So we are happy with Apex. It seems to me, I can't recall of any distribution issues or anything like that. So not like electrical that seems to kind of go out fairly occasionally. Just saying. And my second question, however, would be, do we have a choice? So if we say, no, we don't want like Apex. Well, then they come along and dig up all their lines, or we put somebody else in, or
No, so the choice is, very good questions. The choice basically would be that if we chose to not have Apex, then we would go down the path of actually purchasing all of the assets in Drumheller. So all of the pipes would remain, all of the services would remain, but suddenly Jared would now run a gas division as well as the other divisions, because we would have one more set of infrastructure to deal with. We had just, you may not remember this, but last term, council actually looked at the possibility of electrical service, where we had talked about purchasing the lines from ATCO. And I believe at the time it was about 14 or 16 million dollars to purchase the lines in Drumheller for distribution. So you could do that. Apex has done a good job of renewing their lines through town over the last, at least last decade and before. They provide good service throughout the region for us. And I think they provide a very good service in Drumheller, and they have a good team of people that work here and try really hard to make sure that the gas always stays on.
Anybody else? Tony?
Yeah, the last agreement was 10 years, the new one's 5 years. Is the rationale to move down to 5 years is?
Yeah, I think that we're just trying to as council has said, we want to shorten some of these agreements. We don't know what some of the change might be in the future with respect to what either Apex is doing or what the town's needs are. So we want to shorten these agreements so that they're a bit more current.
Anybody else? All right, all in favor of second reading? Carrie, can I get a motion for third reading, please? Patrick?
I move that council give third and final reading to natural gas distribution franchise agreement bylaw 20.25 as presented.
Seconder? Tony? Comments?
I guess I was just going to add one comment. So the agreement that's attached here is not unique to Drumheller. Apex would use this for any of the areas, municipalities that they're involved with. So there's nothing specific that Drumheller gets or doesn't get in relation to other Apex service communities. So,
Any other comments? All in favor of third reading? Carried. Thank you, Daryl. All right, and 7.2.3.
So this is the next two requests for decisions are land changes with respect to flood mitigation. So this is the first one is the North Machichi Creek Land Designation Bylaw. So we're looking for first reading here. So, of course, as we all know by now, but as a refresher, the lands that we've acquired or have berms on, we're trying to make them public utility lots first, or if there's an environmental reserve existing and we cannot change the reserve, which we cannot change the environmental reserve, then we would add new lands to the environmental reserves. So in this case, this Machichi Creek West Berm and East Berm were constructed in 24 as part of our project. One of our goals is to, again, the majority of the lands in here were not identified as in ER. However, there is one piece of land that is identified. Even though the title shows it as an MR, it's actually called a community reserve lot, which is just another designation that is used in the MGA. So what we're requesting is that we change this from a community reserve so that we can then change it to a public utility lot. If you recall, we did this earlier this year with Grove Plaza, where we had a municipal reserve that we had to take their municipal reserve designation off to then create a public utility lot for that, because municipal reserves and community reserves have different land designations or land requirements for what you can and cannot do on them than a public utility lot does. So what we're recommending is that council gives first reading to this land designation bylaw 2825 and sets the public hearing date for Monday, September the 8th.
I got a motion, please, council? Stephanie?
I move that council gives first reading to North Machichi Creek Land Designation Bylaw number 28.25 as presented and sets a public hearing date for Monday, September 8th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m.
Seconder, please. Patrick? All in favor? Carried. Just for listening public, typically on the first readings of those, we do not, when it goes to a public hearing, we don't discuss second reading till following the public hearing. All right, 7.2.4, please, Daryl.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is the Lehigh Land Designation Bylaw 29.25. So this is, and we're looking for first reading, we're ultimately looking for all three readings of this document. So as we, again, well know, our goal is to be able to turn, or a requirement to turn lands that are in the floodway to the environmental reserve. So we have now acquired all of the lands in Lehigh, have removed all of the servicing in there. We are in the process of removing the roads in there and are planting trees and other greeneries for it. And so what we are doing is now we've already closed the roads in here earlier this year. And now our next and final step is actually to convert all of the lands in Lehigh to an environmental reserve. So it's not on here, but I know that most of us have heard comments of the town's acquired the land to build condos on, there's a new Costco going out there, whatever those things are. That's not true, Pat, stand down. So one of the requirements of, again, the flood project is that any floodway lands have to be turned into an environmental reserve, which prohibits any kind of construction on it. So you can't have any improvements on there, there's no buildings on there. You can have passive recreation only, so maybe a walking path. So that's the goal of this, is to prevent future councils and administrations from putting anything out here to put Drumheller in a position of flood protection in an area that can't be protected properly. So when a property is converted to environmental reserve, by bylaw, it cannot be changed back to any other designation. It can be shrunk. However, this would not be for such a large area like this, and that we're required for 35 years to maintain. This is an environmental reserve minimum. This will be an environmental reserve forevermore is the expectation. So I talked about the road closure bylaw 33.24. And so now what we're recommending is that council gives first, second, and third reading to convert the Lehigh land into an environmental reserve through bylaw 29.25.
Thanks, Daryl. Can I get a motion, please, council, for first reading? Crystal?
I move that council gives first reading to Lehigh Land Designation Bylaw number 29.25 as presented.
Seconder, please. Tom? All in favor? Carrie, can I get a motion for second reading, please? Tom?
I move that council gives second reading to Lehigh Land Designation Bylaw number 29.25 as presented.
Seconder, please. Tony? Comments? Tom?
I believe at one time there was comment suggestion of the possibility of some indigenous usage, specifically sage and possibly sweetgrass in that area. Has that ever been followed up or anything on that?
Yes, it has, Councillor Zarisky, that we have been working with our Aboriginal partners on there. They've come out, they've actually blessed the area before we took all the roads and infrastructure out. They have worked with us on what kind of plantings are out there so that it's actually something that is native species from their perspective. And they have not talked about wanting to grow sweetgrass or sage on site for harvesting. And again, one of the things that Environmental Reserve dictates is that you cannot remove anything from it, so it has to remain naturalized. So we were definitely in contact with them about all of the things about planting and what kinds of things to plant.
Anybody else? And again, this is just more housekeeping?
Yes, this would be the last thing that we would have with respect to Lehigh here, so.
All right, all in favor, second reading? Can I get carried, sorry. Can I get a motion to go into unanimous consent for third? Tony?
I move that council give unanimous consent for third and final reading of Lehigh Land Designation Bylaw number 29.25.
Seconder, please. Patrick? All in favor? Carried. Can I get a motion for third reading, please? Stephanie?
I move that council gives third and final reading to Lehigh Land Designation Bylaw number 29.25 as presented.
Seconder, please. Crystal? Final comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Daryl. All right, that ends this part of the meeting. We have some closed sessions. Can I get a motion, please, council? Tony?
I move that council close the meeting to the public at 6:21 PM to discuss capital projects as per ATIA 29, advice from officials, and ATI 32, privileged information.
Seconder? Crystal? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And thank you to everybody for being with us. Once we're done this part, we will be done for the evening. So again, reminder, we'll be back here next Monday for a special council meeting. And wish you all a great week. And please be kind to your neighbors and friends. All the best. Take care.